Hi, welcome back to Guessagaingaming, to Watch Dogs Legion London, and the rain. As you can see, it's kind of pouring down. Poor young lady in the picture is going to get kind of wet, but at least she's got a hat. So, for reference point, we're in the corner of the furthest southeast corner of London that you can be in Watch Dogs Legion. It's kind of in an area called, I guess it would be Rotherhithe, and it's kind of opposite the east side of London, but it's very near Tower Bridge as well. So it's kind of weird in London, because there's Tower Bridge, which is very central. There's the Tower of London, which is obviously a very central tourist attraction. But here we are, and the East End is kind of here. So it's amazing how you can kind of go, literally you can be in the East End Docklands, and that would have been very Docklandy, kind of posh and done up now, but it would have been very Docklands a couple of decades back. And there you can see how close you are to what would be central London, Tower Bridge and the Tower of London. So there you go. Anyway, today's video is just a small video, and it's about something that I'm not an expert on. I've not even played it, but it's just a kind of observation on the things I've read. I think I made a video about this game before once called MindsEye, which has come out, and I think I made a video before saying, which I always say, don't buy games before they come out, because we know nowadays that so many games are badly optimised, buggy, woke, etc., don't have the content we've been promised. So don't buy games in advance unless you're rolling in money and you don't care, and even then don't, because then you're just supporting the developers and publishers doing that. So anyway, the game's come out and it's rubbish and buggy and a mess, and some of the things I've been reading are just not weird in the context of gaming, but just weird in the context of business practices. And we see this often in all the games, the Veilguard and all these games that come out, and Forspoken, all the games that come out, and Concord, whether they're a live service or not, that come out and fail or get badly reviewed. It's the same premise, and it always comes round to, well, the management, the boss, whoever, didn't listen to what anybody was telling them. There was no direction in the way the company was going. There was no direction in how they wanted the game to be. They kept chopping and changing. And that's kind of the common theme for all of those things, and other games I've not even gone into. That's always what comes out afterwards. And you kind of think, number one, in any business, I don't care whether you're running a supermarket or you're running a car showroom and you're running a game studio, listening to people in your employ, okay, maybe not always, but certainly taking on board things people say, having a fixed idea of what you're trying to do, having a fixed idea of where you're trying to get to, making sure your product is of a saleable quantity, and when you release it or when you sell it, so it's not, you don't sell a car and it's not got an engine in it. You don't sell a car that might not start, because that would be stupid. So all those things would be prerequisites to running a business, but apparently not in gaming. And you get this same thread where people haven't really considered, it's almost like they don't play games, and they just have the kind of, I want to release a product, it needs to be kind of like this, but it can be kind of like that, and they don't really have any clear view of what they're doing. Another thing that always comes out in these things is the people in their development teams often don't understand what's going on. One minute they're doing this and they're doing that, whether it's live service and chopping and changing between that, like Veilguard, or they're chopping and changing between the kind of game they want to make, or they're chopping and changing and let's do that mission, and let's not do it like that, let's do it like this, and in the end you end up with a mess. And that's not counting the fact that games are buggy, and to be honest, there's no excuse for that. There's literally no excuse for that. Like I said, I'm not saying every product ever released in the world is always fine, but certainly cars, phones, TVs, all these kind of things, you don't release them to the public unless you've quality tested them to the point that they're near perfect. And if you do get a TV or a phone that's not working, it's 100% or 99% because that particular phone's got a problem, not the design or everything like that. Of course it happens, but in gaming it's the opposite. They just do kind of what they want to do, and then they're surprised when the game flops and it's criticised. And then of course you get this thing which you get from all these major games, Veilguard and Borderlands 4's had it, we know Randy Pitchfork has done it, where it's the gamer's fault, or it's the reviewer's fault. It's not the game's fault, it's not the publisher's fault, it's not the developer's fault, it's the reviewers or it's gamers who didn't understand or just being shit for the sake of it. And of course they're not, because why would you want to not like a game? Of course you wouldn't, and a lot of these people have already bought these games and then they don't like them. So it's a weird, the whole thing in gaming is I think the word is toxic. The way most of these studios seem to run, and we hear a lot afterwards how they've been run, is obviously toxic. The way the games are produced is not only toxic for the people in the studios, but it's toxic because they're actually almost scamming gamers, because they're just releasing anything in any state and they don't really care whether it's buggy or badly optimised or not got the right content or there's hidden paywalls, etc, etc, etc. So it's just bad. It's got completely toxic. And the thing that's really strange about games like MindsEye is there's been so many games over the last couple of years now that have flopped for very similar reasons. We can go through lists. I've gone through some serious stuff, or we can go through, lists and lists of them, and the same problems come up in all of them. There's different things. There's ones that were woke that people didn't like. There's ones that were live service then changed back. There's ones that were buggy. There's ones that had bad content. There's ones that had pay stuff that you didn't expect. But it's all the things that if you were a gamer, or if you even remotely understood gaming, you wouldn't put in a game. And it's as simple as that. And you think, if you've already gone through all these other games failing from big studios, why would you continue to go through the same practice of let's just release a game in any state, we don't really care, let's not play test it, let's not think about whether gamers will like it, we'll just release it, and if they don't like it, we'll blame them. It's just weird. And I feel sorry for, I know they've made redundancies at the studio that made MindsEye, and I feel sorry for those people, because it's not their fault. If you've got a company or a leader or leaders who are telling you do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that, we don't care, and just release it, and let's get into the crunch and release it really quickly, it's not your fault. What can you do? You can leave, but that's the same as if you're a supermarket and you don't like the way they sell stuff, you could leave, but you're earning money to pay your bills and stuff. So I feel sorry for them, but I just think it's crazy, and I don't think gaming has learned anything. Each time a game comes out and fails, for all the reasons I've stated, you'd hope that gaming companies, publishers, developers would learn, but apparently they don't. It's very odd. Anyway, thanks for watching Guessagaingaming. It's actually stopped raining, which is nice, and it's still early in the morning. It's like 7:30. I won't even be up by now. Anyway, thanks for watching. Till next time, take care for now.